Hello everyone, my name is Brian, but you can call me the Bugler, and today we're going to be performing a breakdown for the Arcstrider Hunter subclass and the skill tree, the Way of the Wind. The melee ability for the Way of the Wind is called Disorienting Blow. You strike an enemy with this melee ability to disorient the target and nearby enemies. After that, we have Focused Breathing, which increases the cooldown rate of your dodge ability while sprinting and also increases your maximum sprint speed. After that, we have Combat Meditation, which increases the cooldown rate of your grenade and melee ability when you are critically wounded. And finally, we have Lightning Reflexes, which increases your damage resistance while dodge rolling. Let's take a look at the melee ability first. Disorienting Blow will make your targets blinded when you hit them, much like the flashbang grenade for the Titan does. When you strike an enemy, they become blinded for 6 seconds. During this time in PvE, they will be unable to attack you and will basically ignore you. This attack, like most melee abilities in Destiny 2, deals the base melee damage. However, when you strike an enemy with a charge, you will release a small shockwave that deals a very tiny amount of damage. To these enemies, it's only 2 damage. Anyone hit by this shockwave will also suffer the effects of Disorienting Blow. However, the range is fairly abysmal. It is less than the lunge range of a regular melee attack, so this range is smaller than 4 meters. It is worth noting that the shockwave is sent out in 360 degrees, so any enemies behind you will also be blinded. They are all blinded for the same duration as the initial target, which is still 6 seconds. And a fun fact for you is that this shockwave deals arc damage, so you'll deal increased damage to shields, and you could theoretically trigger arc explosions with it. However, the damage is so small, I don't really see that happening. Alright, moving on, we have Focused Breathing, which increases your maximum sprint speed, and sprinting also recharges your dodge ability. Let's take a look at that sprint speed increase first. In this split screen, you'll see me on the top running with Focused Breathing. On the bottom, I'll be running without it. I also kept my mobility at 5 for both. Even though mobility doesn't affect sprint speed, I just wanted to keep it constant and felt you should know the number. With Focused Breathing active, we can run this gauntlet in 8 seconds, as opposed to the base being able to run it in 9 seconds. This means that with Focused Breathing active, for every 1 second you run, it would take someone running at base sprint speed 1.125 seconds to run that same distance. So while there is a measurable increase, it's not all that noticeable over short distances. You'll really get the most bang for your buck over a long sprint. The other effect of Focused Breathing is that it increases the cooldown rate of your dodge while you're sprinting. The base cooldown of the dodge is 25 seconds if you count it from the second the dodge starts. If you subtract 1 second for the actual dodge duration, you're left with an effective cooldown of 24 seconds. If you sprint with Focused Breathing for the entire duration of the cooldown, it's reduced to 17 seconds, minus 1 second for the dodge, gives us a 16-second effective cooldown, which is 33% faster than without. And this skill rewards without distinction, so you can sprint directly into a wall and still receive these benefits. As long as your sprint is activated, you don't necessarily have to be moving. You can even sprint and jump in a circle so that you do not move at all and still receive the full cooldown benefits. The next ability we're going to talk about is called Combat Meditation. While critically wounded, melee and grenade abilities recharge dramatically faster. A quick disclaimer here. In the next clip, you're not going to see this in an optimized setting. The numbers that I used are from optimized tests, however. This is just so you can visualize how the skill actually works. When you are reduced to red health, you trigger this skill, and while the skill is active, your cooldowns are reduced by 73%. The bolt grenade, which normally takes 60 seconds, is reduced to exactly 16. The other grenades, which usually take 1 minute and 23 seconds, is reduced to about 22 seconds. The melee ability, which takes 1 minute and 35 seconds, is reduced to about 25 seconds. Now let's take a look at how I got these numbers optimized. Just like with focused breathing, combat meditation does not care how you meet the requirements for this skill. So if you are damaged by, say, jumping off of something, you could trigger this skill, as well as weapons that you can damage yourself with. So by using a weapon that has ricochet rounds, much like the hard light auto rifle exotic, you can damage yourself and keep this skill active indefinitely. This is the method that I used to ensure that my cooldown reduction times were correct. It's also worth noting that you can use this in any activity, PvE or PvP. So PvP just got a whole lot sweatier. And finally, we have the skill Lightning Reflexes. The description says you are harder to kill while dodging, but what the skill really does is reduce incoming damage by a flat rate. This is not affected by the resistance stat. Let me show you what I calculated. My method of testing for this was to throw a grenade at my feet and dodge roll when the time was right. In the split screen, on the top you will see without the skill and on the bottom will be with it. You can see that the damage we took was reduced by 25%, and this remained constant no matter what resistance I tested it at, so it proves that this is only a flat rate. And while this is a fairly effective skill, which has good synergies with the previous skills, I can't help but express my disappointment, because I had hoped that the skill would grant invulnerability frames similar to a Souls game. Of course, that probably would have been extremely overpowered, so I can see why that is not the case. And that's the end of this breakdown. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about how I conducted the tests, or why I might not have included other footage, let me know in the comments so I could answer them for you. I have a big announcement. Today I'm going to be streaming on Twitch at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be streaming my testing for the Stormcaller subclass, and the first person in the comments on that Twitch chat can tell me which skill tree they want me to test. I'm going to put a link to my Twitch channel in the description of this video, and you can also find the link to our Discord and my Patreon. We'd be happy to have you in the Discord. It's a really great community where we can just talk about whatever you feel like talking about. So once again, thanks for watching. I hope I see you next time, or in this case, on Twitch, and good luck getting through the exclusion zone.